The signal. The room was silent except for the soft hum of machines. On the massive screen in front of them, strange lines of data scrolled rapidly, almost unreadable to the human eye. A faint red light blinked in the corner, casting an eerie glow across the darkened control center. Lieutenant Marcus Hall stared at the screen, his face tense. He wasn't sure what he was looking at, but he knew one thing: it wasn't normal. The signal had appeared without warning, faint and broken, coming from the direction of Colony Vega 12. "Can you clean it up?" Marcus asked, his voice steady despite the knot forming in his stomach. Beside him, Ensign Clara Decker worked furiously at her console, her fingers moving with practiced precision. "I'm trying, sir. The signal is distorted, like something is interfering with it." The signal had come through an old emergency frequency that hadn't been used in decades. Colony Vega 12 was one of humanity's most distant outposts, located near the edge of explored space. It was a quiet mining colony, far from any known threats. Or so they had thought. "Put it on speakers," Marcus ordered. Clara hesitated for a moment, then nodded. A burst of static filled the room, followed by a garbled voice. The words were faint, barely audible, but enough to make Marcus lean forward in his chair. "This is Colony Vega 12. Under attack. They're everywhere. Unstoppable." The voice was shaky, filled with panic. More static followed, then a chilling scream that made the hairs on Marcus's neck stand up. "What the hell is going on out there?" Marcus muttered. Clara adjusted the audio filters, trying to isolate more of the message. After a few moments, the voice returned, clearer this time. "Burn or be burned. They're destroying everything. No mercy. Send help." And then silence. The room felt colder. Marcus exchanged a glance with Clara, both of them realizing the gravity of what they had just heard. "Get me command," Marcus said, standing up. Within minutes, the signal was relayed to the United Earth Federation's top officials. The president of Earth herself, Alexandra Grant, appeared on the control center screen. Her sharp features betrayed no emotion, but her eyes were filled with concern. "Lieutenant Hall," she said, "what's the situation?" Marcus stood at attention. "Madam President, we've received a distress signal from Colony Vega 12. It's incomplete, but it sounds like they've been attacked." President Grant's eyes narrowed. "Attacked? By who?" "We don't know yet," Marcus admitted, "but the signal mentions something about burning and no mercy. Whoever or whatever it is, they're not friendly." A heavy silence fell over the room as everyone processed the information. Colony Vega 12 had a population of over 50,000 people. If they were under attack, it wasn't a small matter. President Grant turned to one of her advisors. "What's the status of our nearest fleet?" "Still 2 weeks away from Vega 12, the advisor replied. "Even at maximum speed, they won't make it in time." "Then we need to know what we're dealing with," Grant said firmly. She looked back at Marcus. "Lieutenant, can you trace the signal's origin?" Clara answered for him. "Yes, ma'am. It's coming directly from Vega 12's central communications hub, but the signal is weak. It might not last much longer." "Do whatever you can to stabilize it," Grant ordered. "We need more information before we make any moves." Marcus nodded. "Understood, Madam President." As the connection with command ended, Marcus felt the weight of the situation pressing down on him. Humanity hadn't faced a real external threat in over a century. The last war with an alien species had been long before his time, and the scars of that conflict had faded into history. But now, something was happening. Something that felt bigger than anyone in the room could fully comprehend. "Lieutenant," Clara said, her voice breaking his thoughts. "I've got something else." "What is it?" She pointed to her screen. "There's a second signal, much fainter than the first. It's not coming from Vega 12. It's coming from deep space." Marcus frowned. "Another distress signal." Clara shook her head. "No, sir. It's a warning." She pressed a button, and a new message played through the speakers. This one was clearer, but its tone sent a chill down everyone's spine. "Humans," the voice said, "you have crossed the line. Leave this part of the galaxy, or your planets will burn." The voice was cold and mechanical, devoid of any emotion. And then, just like the first signal, it cut off abruptly. Marcus felt his chest tighten. This was no coincidence. "Clara," he said, his voice low, "get me everything you can on that signal. Frequency, origin, anything." "Yes, sir," she replied, already working. As the control center buzzed with activity, Marcus stood still, staring at the main screen. For the first time in his career, he felt a sense of fear he couldn't shake. Whatever was happening out there, it wasn't just a threat to Colony Vega 12. It was a threat to all of humanity. The fleet awakens. The news of Colony Vega 12's distress signal spread through Earth's leadership like wildfire. Within hours, the United Earth Federation declared a state of emergency. The alien warning, "Your planets will burn," had been played in every war room, scientific facility, and intelligence hub on the planet. The message was clear, and it demanded action. In the heart of the United Earth Defense Command, UEDC, deep beneath the surface of New Geneva, a team of officers, scientists, and engineers gathered around a massive holographic display. Admiral Serena Kane, the seasoned commander of Earth's space fleet, stood at the center of the room. Her steel-gray eyes scanned the data scrolling across the display. "So," she said, her voice calm but firm, "we're facing an unknown threat with unknown capabilities, and our closest fleet is 2 weeks away from Vega 12. What's the plan?" General Elias Corwin, head of Earth's strategic defense, stepped forward. "We don't wait. We prepare. Our main fleet may be far, but Earth's orbital fleet is still operational. With upgrades, they can be combat-ready in a matter of days." Admiral Kane raised an eyebrow. "Those ships haven't seen action in nearly a century, General. You expect them to hold against a force capable of wiping out an entire colony?" Corwin smirked. "That's why we have the Phoenix Protocol." The room fell silent. For years, the Phoenix Protocol had been a whispered legend, an experimental weapons system designed during humanity's last war with the aliens. It had been shelved after the war ended, deemed too dangerous and unstable for peacetime. "Are you suggesting we deploy Phoenix without testing it?" Kane asked, her tone sharp. Corwin met her gaze. "Do we have a choice? If those aliens reach Earth, we'll need every advantage we can get." Before Kane could respond, a young officer approached, holding a datapad. "Admiral, we've located the origin of the alien warning." "Let's hear it," Kane said, turning to the holographic map. The officer tapped a button, and a glowing red point appeared on the edge of the galaxy. The signal came from the Trionus system, about 5 light years beyond Vega 12. Long-range scans show activity, energy signatures we've never seen before. Kane studied the map. The Trionus system was uncharted territory, an empty void in humanity's star maps. No colonies, no known resources, nothing to suggest its importance, until now. "We'll need scouts," she said, "small, fast ships to investigate Trionus while we prepare the fleet." Corwin nodded. "Agreed. I'll authorize the mission. But let's be clear, Admiral. This isn't just about defense. If these aliens are as hostile as they seem, we may need to strike first." Kane's jaw tightened. "We won't start a war, General, but we'll be ready to end one." Meanwhile, in a sprawling hangar on Earth's surface, engineers and technicians swarmed over the orbital fleet. The massive warships, once gleaming symbols of human dominance, now sat dormant and worn, their hulls scarred by time. Commander Jacob Reese, the fleet's chief engineer, wiped sweat from his brow as he examined the engine core of the UES Valor, the flagship of the fleet. "This thing's a relic," Reese muttered to his assistant. "We're supposed to bring her up to combat specs in 3 days. They might as well ask us to build a new ship." His assistant, a young woman named Kayla, grinned. Maybe she's old, but she's got a good heart. You'll see. Reese rolled his eyes but couldn't help smiling. The Valor was a piece of history, a ship that had once led humanity to victory against the Zartan Empire. Now, it was a reminder of a time when humans had fought tooth and nail to survive. As Reese worked, he couldn't shake the feeling of urgency in the air. This wasn't just another maintenance project. This was the front line of humanity's survival. 3 days later, the orbital fleet was ready. From the ground, civilians and soldiers alike watched in awe as the massive ships ascended into Earth's atmosphere, their engines blazing like stars. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the Valor, her hands clasped behind her back. The holographic display in front of her showed the fleet's formation. 12 warships, each armed with humanity's most advanced weapons. "Status report," Kane said. "Engines at full capacity," one officer reported. "Weapons systems online. Shields operational. And the Phoenix Protocol." There was a pause before the officer responded. "Still untested, Admiral, but functional." Kane nodded. She didn't like the idea of relying on an untested weapon, but she had no choice. If the aliens were as powerful as they seemed, the Phoenix Protocol might be their only hope. "Set course for Vega 12, she ordered. "Maximum speed." As the fleet began its journey, Kane turned to her second-in-command, Captain Lin. "Do you believe in miracles, Captain?" Lin smiled faintly. "I believe in preparation, Admiral, and we're as prepared as we'll ever be." Kane nodded, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into the unknown. The alien message still echoed in her mind. "Your planets will burn." Whatever awaited them at Vega 12, humanity's fate would be decided there. The enemy revealed. The stars outside the UES Valor's bridge windows were a blur of light as the fleet raced toward Colony Vega 12. Every officer aboard felt the weight of what lay ahead. Vega 12 had gone dark after the initial distress signal. No communications, no updates, just silence. Admiral Serena Kane stood at the center of the bridge, her sharp eyes fixed on the holographic display. The fleet was just minutes away from Vega 12's coordinates. "Status report," Kane said. "Fleet is holding formation," Captain Lin replied. "Long-range scanners are picking up debris, lots of it. No signs of active signals from the colony." Kane's jaw tightened. She had hoped for survivors, but the debris field told a different story. "Bring us out of warp," she ordered. "I want a full scan of the system." The fleet slowed as the ships emerged from faster-than-light travel. The sight that greeted them made the bridge go silent. Vega 12's once thriving colony was now a graveyard. Massive chunks of the planet's orbital infrastructure drifted in space, shattered beyond recognition. Below, the planet's surface was scorched black, with fires still burning in some regions. "My God," someone whispered. "Scans," Kane said, her voice sharp. "I want to know what happened here." The sensors officer worked quickly, pulling up data on the display. "Radiation levels are off the charts. The colony was hit with energy weapons, something far more advanced than anything we've seen before." "And the population?" The officer hesitated before answering. "No life signs detected, Admiral. Vega 12 is gone." Kane clenched her fists. 50,000 lives, wiped out in an instant. "Admiral," Captain Lin said, his voice urgent. "We're detecting movement in the debris field." Kane turned toward the display. Among the wreckage, faint energy signatures flickered like dying embers. "Are those escape pods?" Lin asked. The sensors officer shook her head. "No, sir. It's something else. The energy signatures are alien." The fleet moved cautiously through the debris, scanning every fragment for signs of danger. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the occasional static of the comms. Then, without warning, the silence shattered. "Contact," shouted an officer. "Multiple bogies inbound." The holographic display lit up as dozens of alien ships appeared on the scanners. They were sleek and angular, unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Their dark hulls absorbed the light, making them almost invisible against the void of space. They were hiding in the debris, Lynn said, his voice grim. Shields up, Kane barked. All ships, prepare for engagement. The alien fleet moved with terrifying speed, closing the distance in seconds. They opened fire, their weapons emitting beams of crimson energy that sliced through the void. The Valor shuddered as a blast struck its shields. Return fire, Kane ordered. The human fleet unleashed a barrage of missiles and plasma bolts. The void lit up with explosions as the two forces clashed. On the bridge, Kane watched the battle unfold with cold precision. The alien ships were faster and more maneuverable, but the human fleet had numbers and firepower on their side. Focus fire on the lead ship, she commanded. Take it out, and the rest might scatter. The fleet concentrated their attacks on the largest alien vessel, a monstrous craft bristling with weapons. For a moment, it seemed like they had the upper hand. But then the aliens adapted. Admiral, their ships are changing formation, Lynn reported. They're moving to flank us. Kane cursed under her breath. These weren't mindless attackers, they were tacticians. Deploy fighters to cover our flanks, she said, and activate the Phoenix Protocol. Lynn hesitated. Are you sure? Admiral, we've never tested it in combat. We don't have a choice, Kane replied. If we don't stop them here, Earth is next. Deep within the Valor's engine room, Commander Jacob Reese worked frantically to bring the Phoenix Protocol online. The weapon was humanity's last resort, a massive energy cannon capable of devastating entire fleets. But it came with a risk. If it malfunctioned, it could destroy the ship carrying it. Power levels at 90%, Reese called out. Almost there. The ship shuddered again as another alien blast struck the shields. Sparks flew from a nearby console, and alarms blared. Hurry it up, Reese, Kayla shouted from across the room. I'm going as fast as I can. Finally, the system came online. The room was bathed in a blinding blue light as the weapon charged. Admiral, Phoenix is ready, Reese said over the comms. On the bridge, Kane didn't hesitate. Target the lead alien ship and fire. The Valor's main cannon glowed as the Phoenix Protocol unleashed its power. A massive beam of energy tore through space, striking the alien flagship dead center. The ship disintegrated in an instant, taking several smaller vessels with it. The remaining alien ships hesitated, their formation faltering. They're retreating, Lynn said, disbelief in his voice. Kane exhaled slowly. Don't let them escape. Pursue and destroy. As the last of the alien ships were wiped out, the fleet regrouped near Vega 12. The victory was bittersweet. The colony was gone, and humanity had only just begun to understand the enemy they faced. Kane stared at the scorched planet on the display. Send a message to Earth, she said. Tell them we've engaged the enemy. And tell them this was only the beginning. Shadows of the Trianus system. The fleet lingered near Vega 12 only long enough to salvage what they could. Scans confirmed what Admiral Serena Kane feared. There were no survivors, no resources, and no sign of what the aliens wanted. It was a massacre, pure and simple. But the battle had left them with one advantage: fragments of alien technology retrieved from the wreckage. The pieces were sent to the science vessel Aurora, where Dr. Elena Cross, one of Earth's foremost xenotech experts, worked tirelessly to uncover their secrets. On the Valor's bridge, Kane stood with Captain Lynn, reviewing their next move. The Trianus system, Lynn said, gesturing to the holographic map. That's where the alien signal originated. If we want answers, that's where we'll find them. Kane nodded, her expression grim. It's a risk, but we can't afford to stay in the dark. If the Trianus system is their stronghold, we need to know what we're up against. And if it's a trap, Lynn asked. Kane's gaze hardened. Then we spring it. As the fleet approached the Trianus system, the tension aboard the ships was palpable. Every officer and crew member knew they were entering enemy territory. The Trianus system was an enigma. No human had ever explored it, and it didn't appear to have any habitable planets or valuable resources. The first glimpse of the system was unsettling. The star at its center burned a dim, sickly green, casting an eerie glow over the planets orbiting it. Most were barren rocks, but the third planet stood out. Scans show significant energy readings from the third planet, Lynn reported. There's an artificial structure on the surface. And, Admiral, there's something in orbit. Kane stepped closer to the display. A massive alien station floated above the planet, its design unlike anything they'd seen. It was angular and black, with spires that seemed to reach out like claws. Is it active? Kane asked. Unknown, Lynn replied. No visible defenses, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Kane considered their options. Attacking the station outright could provoke another battle, one they might not survive. But ignoring it wasn't an option either. Launch a recon probe, she ordered. Let's see what we're dealing with. The probe approached the alien station cautiously, its cameras and sensors transmitting data back to the fleet. Inside the science lab aboard the Aurora, Dr. Cross watched the feed alongside Reese, the Valor's chief engineer. What do you think? Reese asked, studying the alien structure on the screen. Cross frowned. It's elegant, in a way. The design is almost organic, like it was grown rather than built. But those energy signatures, it's a power source unlike anything we've ever seen. The probe entered a docking port on the station, its sensors picking up faint traces of activity. The images it sent back were chilling. Long, dark corridors lined with strange, glowing symbols. It's deserted, Reese said. Maybe, Cross replied. Or maybe they're just hiding. Suddenly, the feed cut out. What happened? Reese demanded. Cross's hands flew over the console. The probe was destroyed. Some kind of energy surge from the station. Reese cursed under his breath. So much for reconnaissance. On the bridge of the Valor, Kane received the news with a grim nod. Whatever's down there, it doesn't want us snooping around, Lynn said. Good, Kane replied. That means we're on the right track. Prepare a landing party. We're going down there. Lynn hesitated. Admiral, are you sure that's wise? We don't know what's waiting for us. That's exactly why we're going, Kane said. If the aliens have a stronghold here, we need to know what they're planning. And if we can, we'll take it out. The landing party consisted of Kane, Lynn, and a team of elite Marines. Their dropship descended toward the alien station, its engines humming quietly as it passed through the planet's thin atmosphere. As they landed in a clearing near the station, the scale of the structure became clear. It loomed above them like a dark cathedral, its spires piercing the sky. Keep your weapons ready, Kane said, her voice steady. The team entered the station cautiously, their boots echoing against the metal floor. The corridors were vast and empty, the air thick with a faint, acrid smell. Scanners are picking up faint energy signatures, Lynn said. Something's powering this place. As they moved deeper into the station, they found what looked like a control room. The walls were covered in glowing symbols, and in the center of the room was a large, pulsing orb. What is that? One of the Marines asked. Cross's voice crackled over the comms. If I had to guess, it's the station's core. If we can access it, we might be able to learn more about the aliens, or disable the station, Kane said. Lynn moved closer to the orb, his scanner in hand. It's emitting a low-frequency signal, almost like a... He trailed off as the orb began to glow brighter. Admiral, we've got movement, one of the Marines shouted. From the shadows, figures emerged. They were humanoid but taller, with elongated limbs and armor that shimmered like liquid metal. Their glowing eyes locked onto the humans, and they raised strange, angular weapons. Open fire, Kane ordered. The room erupted into chaos as the aliens attacked, their weapons firing beams of energy that disintegrated anything they touched. The humans fought back, but the aliens were faster, their movements almost impossible to track. "We're outnumbered," Lynn shouted. Kane gritted her teeth. "Fall back. Get to the ship." As they retreated, the orb's glow intensified, and a deep mechanical voice filled the air. "You were warned. Now your fate is sealed. The war begins." The landing party returned to the fleet shaken but alive. The encounter inside the alien station left no doubt. Humanity was no longer dealing with a passive threat. The aliens were intelligent, powerful, and prepared for war. On the bridge of the UES Valor, Admiral Kane stood over the holographic map, her expression grim. "The station is a forward operating base," Kane said, addressing the fleet's senior officers. "They're using it to coordinate attacks, and if that orb was any indication, they've been watching us for a long time." "We need to destroy it," Captain Lynn said. Kane nodded. "Agreed. But it won't be easy. That station is heavily defended, and we're out of time. The moment we engage, they'll call for reinforcements." "What about the Phoenix Protocol?" General Corwin asked via hologram from Earth. "It worked once," Kane replied, "but the energy core inside that station might destabilize if we hit it with something that powerful. We could destroy the planet and everything in orbit, including our fleet." "So we go in with conventional weapons," Lynn said. "That's the plan," Kane confirmed. "We'll disable the station's defenses and extract as much intel as we can before taking it out." The fleet moved into position, surrounding the station like wolves circling prey. The alien ships guarding it responded immediately, forming a defensive perimeter. "Enemy vessels inbound," the tactical officer reported. "Hold formation," Kane ordered. "Let them come to us." The alien ships darted forward, their angular designs cutting through the void like knives. They fired in unison, beams of crimson energy streaking toward the fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," Lynn shouted. The human ships responded with a barrage of missiles and plasma fire. Explosions lit up the dark expanse as the two forces clashed, but it quickly became clear the aliens were more organized than before. "They're adapting," Lynn said. "Their tactics are more aggressive." "Then we adapt faster," Kane replied. "Deploy all fighters. Give them no room to maneuver." Inside the science vessel Aurora, Dr. Elena Cross and her team worked furiously to analyze the data from the alien orb. They had managed to extract fragments of a signal before the landing party retreated, and now those fragments were their only clue to understanding the enemy. "Look at this," Cross said, pointing to the display. The signal contained a repeating sequence of symbols, accompanied by a pulsing waveform. "What is it?" Reese asked, standing beside her. "It's not just a message, it's a code," Cross explained. "They're transmitting orders to their fleet. If we can decrypt it, we might be able to predict their movements." Reese frowned. "Can you crack it in time?" Cross didn't look up. "I don't know, but I'm going to try." Back in the battle, the Valor led the charge against the alien station. The station's defenses activated, firing streams of energy that sliced through space with deadly precision. "Shields at 70%, the tactical officer reported. "Keep firing," Kane ordered. "Focus on the defensive turrets. We need a clear path to the core." The fleet pressed on, their weapons pounding the station's shields. Explosions rippled across its surface, but the station held firm. Then the alien reinforcements arrived. "Multiple warp signatures detected," Lynn shouted. "Dozens of ships inbound." Kane's eyes narrowed. "All ships, hold the line. We can't let them overwhelm us." The battle intensified as more alien vessels joined the fray. The human fleet was outnumbered, but they fought with relentless determination. On the Aurora, Cross finally cracked the code. "I've got it," she exclaimed. "The signal contains the coordinates of their command center. It's not here. It's deeper in the system." Reese's eyes widened. "You're saying this station isn't their main base?" "No," Cross said. "It's just a waypoint. If we want to stop them, We need to take out their command center. Reese tapped his comms. Admiral Kane, we have new intel. The aliens' command center is located deeper in the Trionus system. This station is just a staging ground. Kane's voice came through the comms. Understood. But we still need to disable this station before we move forward. Can the Phoenix protocol be used without destroying the fleet? Cross hesitated. If we can target the station's power core directly, it might contain the blast. But we'll need to hit it with precision. Kane made her decision. Reese, get the Phoenix protocol ready. Lynn, prepare a strike team. We're taking the fight to the station's core. The Valor launched its final assault, clearing a path for the strike team to infiltrate the station. Kane, Lynn, and a group of Marines boarded the station, fighting their way through its labyrinthine corridors. Inside the core room, the orb pulsed violently, its energy growing unstable. Plant the charges, Kane ordered. As the Marines worked, the alien defenders swarmed the room, their weapons blazing. Kane and Lynn fought side by side, holding the line. Charges are set, a Marine shouted. Kane activated her comms. Reese, fire the Phoenix protocol. Now. From the Valor, the Phoenix protocol fired its devastating beam, striking the station's power core with pinpoint accuracy. The station erupted in a cascade of explosions, the shockwave rippling through space. The human fleet retreated just in time, watching as the alien station was consumed in flames. Into the heart of the enemy, the debris of the alien station drifted in the void, a grim reminder of the battle's cost. The human fleet regrouped, licking its wounds and preparing for the next phase of the war. On the bridge of the UES Valor, Admiral Serena Kane stood resolute, her gaze fixed on the holographic map of the Trionus system. Dr. Cross, Kane said, addressing the scientist on the comms. What do we know about the coordinates you decrypted? Cross's face appeared on the screen, her expression tense. The coordinates lead to a massive structure near Trionus Prime, the system's largest planet. It's heavily shielded and surrounded by an asteroid field. Based on the energy readings, it's their command center. And their fleet? Kane asked. Scans show significant enemy activity, Cross replied. We'll be walking into the lion's den, Admiral. Kane's lips pressed into a thin line. Good. That's exactly where I want to be. The fleet prepared for the assault on the alien command center. Repairs were made, weapons were restocked, and the crew braced themselves for what would likely be the most dangerous mission of their lives. In the Aurora's lab, Cross and Reese worked tirelessly to refine their strategy. If we can disable the command center's shields, we'll have a shot at taking it out, Reese said, pointing to a schematic of the alien structure. But those asteroid defenses are going to make it nearly impossible to get close. That's where the stealth drones come in, Cross said. We'll use them to create a distraction, draw the enemy ships away from the field. And if they see through the ruse? Reese asked. Cross didn't answer. They both knew the risk. The fleet approached Trionus Prime cautiously, the massive planet looming ahead like a dark sentinel. Its surface was covered in swirling storms of toxic gases, and the command center hung in orbit like a black monolith, its spires bristling with weapons. All ships, hold position, Kane ordered. Deploy the drones. A swarm of small, cloaked drones launched from the fleet, moving silently toward the asteroid field. As they neared the enemy perimeter, they activated their decoy systems, emitting false signals to mimic the presence of a larger force. The alien fleet reacted immediately, sending dozens of ships to intercept the supposed intruders. They're taking the bait, Lynn reported. Good, Kane said. All ships, advance. Stay tight, and watch your flanks. The fleet entered the asteroid field, navigating the treacherous terrain while under fire from the command center's defenses. Massive turrets on the station fired beams of energy, each shot carving through space with deadly precision. Shields at 60%, the tactical officer shouted as the Valor absorbed another hit. Return fire, Kane commanded. The human ships unleashed a barrage of missiles and plasma rounds, targeting the turrets. Explosions rippled across the station's surface, but its shields held firm. "We're not breaking through," Lynn said. "We don't need to," Kane replied. "We just need to get close enough to deploy the strike team." Inside the Valor's hangar, the strike team prepared for their mission. Kane, Lynn, and a squad of Marines donned their armor, their faces grim with determination. "Once we're inside, our priority is the shield generator," Kane said. "Without it, the fleet can finish the job." "And if we fail?" a Marine asked. Kane's gaze was steely. "We won't." The dropship launched, weaving through the asteroid field and enemy fire. As they approached the command center, enemy ships closed in, their weapons lighting up the void. Braced for impact. The pilot shouted as the ship shuddered under a direct hit. The ship crash-landed on the station's surface, skidding to a halt amid a shower of sparks. "Move out," Kane ordered. The team exited the ship, weapons at the ready. The station's architecture was alien and imposing, with dark corridors that seemed to stretch on forever. "Scanners are picking up heavy activity," Lynn said. "They know we're here." "Let them come," Kane said. The strike team fought their way through the station, engaging alien soldiers at every turn. The enemies were relentless, their weapons deadly, but the humans pressed on. "We're close to the shield generator," Lynn said, checking his scanner. As they entered the generator room, they found themselves facing a massive energy core, its surface crackling with alien energy. "Plant the charges," Kane ordered. The Marines worked quickly, placing explosives around the core. But before they could finish, the air filled with a low, ominous hum. "They're here," Lynn said. The team turned to see a squad of alien warriors entering the room, their glowing eyes fixed on the humans. At their center was a larger figure, clad in ornate armor that seemed to pulse with energy. Kane raised her weapon. "You want to fight? You've got one." The room erupted into chaos as the two sides clashed. The alien leader was a whirlwind of motion, its blade slicing through the air with lethal precision. Kane and Lynn fought side by side, their movements synchronized. "Charges are set," a Marine shouted. "Fall back," Kane ordered. The team retreated under heavy fire, racing toward their extraction point. As they boarded the escape ship, the station began to shake, the charges detonating one by one. From the safety of the fleet, the humans watched as the command center's shields failed. "Fire the Phoenix Protocol," Kane said. The Valor unleashed its most powerful weapon, the beam of energy striking the station's core. The command center erupted in a massive explosion, the shockwave scattering debris across the system. Cheers erupted across the fleet, but Kane remained silent, her eyes fixed on the debris. "This isn't over," she said. "We've won the battle, but the war is just beginning." Humanity's final warning. The remnants of the alien command center drifted lifelessly in orbit around Trionis Prime, a silent testament to humanity's resolve. On the bridge of the UES Valor, Admiral Serena Kane stood before the crew, her expression one of steely determination. The victory was theirs, but the cost had been high, and the war was far from over. "Report," Kane said, her voice echoing in the quiet. Captain Lynn stepped forward. "Enemy fleet activity has diminished across the Trionis system. It seems the destruction of their command center has disrupted their operations." "For now," Kane replied. She knew better than to trust the silence. Dr. Elena Cross's voice came through the comms. "Admiral, I finished analyzing the remaining data from the alien station. There's something you need to see." In the science lab aboard the Aurora, Cross displayed her findings to Kane and the other senior officers. The decrypted data revealed an intricate map of the galaxy, marked with alien symbols and coordinates. "This isn't just a war," Cross said, her tone grave. "It's a campaign. These coordinates represent every system they've targeted, and every one they've already destroyed." The map showed dozens of systems, many now dark and lifeless. But one system near the edge of the galaxy glowed ominously. "They've marked Earth," Cross said. Kane's jaw tightened. "They're coming for us." The fleet regrouped near the edge of the Trianus system, where Kane addressed her crew one last time. "This war began with a warning," she said, her voice broadcast to every ship, "an alien message that threatened our extinction. But today, we send our own message. Humanity will not be erased. We are not prey, and we are not afraid. To the enemy watching this transmission, hear me clearly. If you come for Earth, we will meet you with fire and fury. Your planets will burn before ours ever falls." The message was broadcast across the system, carried on every frequency the aliens might intercept. Humanity's defiance was clear. As the fleet prepared for their final stand, Cross worked tirelessly to decode one last piece of data, a signal buried deep within the alien network. "I think it's their master command signal," Cross explained to Reese. "If we can intercept it, we might be able to turn their own fleet against them." "It's a long shot," Reese said. "Long shots are all we've got," Cross replied. The aliens arrived sooner than expected. Their fleet emerged from hyperspace in a terrifying display of power, hundreds of ships surrounding the human fleet like a predator closing in for the kill. "Enemy vessels are locking weapons," Lynn shouted. "Hold steady," Kane said. "Wait for my command." The two fleets stared each other down, the void between them filled with the tension of impending battle. Then the alien ships fired. "Shields up! Return fire!" Kane ordered. The human fleet erupted into action, missiles and plasma bolts streaking through space. The battle was chaos, with ships on both sides erupting into fireballs as they were destroyed. "Admiral, we can't hold this position much longer," Lynn said. "We're not retreating," Kane replied. "This is where we make our stand." On the Aurora, Cross and Reese worked frantically to intercept the alien command signal. "I've almost got it," Cross said, her fingers flying over the console. "Just a few more seconds." "We don't have seconds," Reese said, glancing at the status reports. "The fleet's falling apart out there." The ship shuddered as an enemy blast struck its hull, but Cross didn't stop. "Got it," she exclaimed. "Sending the override now." On the battlefield, something extraordinary happened. The alien ships began to turn on each other, their weapons firing at their own fleet. Confusion rippled through their ranks as their once coordinated attacks faltered. "It's working," Lynn shouted. "The override is working." Kane didn't waste the opportunity. "All ships, focus fire on their flagship. Take it out." The human fleet converged on the alien flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons. The combined firepower of the fleet overwhelmed its shields, and with a final, deafening explosion, the flagship was destroyed. The remaining alien ships scattered, their formations broken, and their will to fight shattered. "Enemy fleet is retreating," Lynn reported. Kane allowed herself a small sigh of relief. "Good, but this isn't over. We need to make sure they don't come back." The fleet pursued the retreating aliens to their home system, where they found the heart of their operations, a massive planet-sized station orbiting a dying star. "We end this now," Kane said. The human fleet unleashed everything they had, targeting the station's power core. The battle was fierce, but humanity's resolve was unshakable. As the station's core detonated, the resulting explosion consumed the entire system, ensuring the aliens would never threaten another world. The war was over, but its scars remained. On the bridge of the Valor, Kane addressed her crew one final time. "We have faced the unthinkable and survived," she said. "But survival alone is not enough. We will rebuild, stronger than before, and we will remember those who gave their lives to ensure our future." The fleet turned toward Earth, their mission complete. Humanity had delivered its final warning. The stars belonged to them now.